I was called into this work, so in a worship service, I really heard God calling me to open a homeless shelter. And I didn't have any experience with that. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. And so I just went on my way. I ignored what I heard from God to do. Yeah. But it was such a burden on me. It was an overwhelming burden. And I just couldn't shake that. So one day I just cried out to God and I said, what do you want me to do? And I really heard him say, call the churches. So I got the phone book because at that point in time, it was 20 some years ago, there was a phone book and I started calling churches. And every church I called, I said, I'd like to look at the homeless situation, open a homeless shelter. Would you like to be part of it? And every church I called said yes. So I had to get a meeting. Yeah. So that's how it started. Oftentimes we'll see women and children, so single moms and children. So often the burden of being a single parent without support. And so that's often what we'll see. And a lot of the financial stresses and the stresses of daycare or getting their children to and from school, all the extra things are certainly very, very difficult and often accumulate to a crisis level. And that's often when we see people is when they're in a crisis level. Homeless shelter is open to men, women, and children. So we do allow women and children. And then our Homes of Hope, which is longer-term housing assistance program, will also be available for women and children. And then our case management services at our resource center helps anyone with financial assistance and connection to other services in the community. And that definitely is women and children as well. We've been awarded on and off, I would say, for about a decade funding through the Women and Girls Funds. They're a terrific organization, and we really appreciate their support.
Haven Ministries, which is a very important organization in Queen Anne's County and really kind of steps the line over in certain ways in the area. But the second year I read, I had their grant to investigate. And I knew right away the way the cover letter was presented that I was like, this isn't going to fly. And yet I know what they're trying to do. So I called their executive director and I said to her, I'm going to come and meet with you. Let's talk about this. And once we talked, I said, okay, you need to rewrite this. You need to reposition this request. And I said, here's what I'll do. I'll help you out. I said, you do a redraft and send it to me and let me read it. And then I might edit it a little. And it all worked. And, but I took the time, but I felt like that was my due diligence based on what I already was seeing among the other women who are grant readers or on the board of the Women and Girls Fund.
This particular fund that we just received from the Women and Girls Fund is specific to case management services. And Haven Ministries does a lot of case management services. Our homeless shelter, our street outreach, our resource center, and even our food pantries, because we want to connect people. We want to listen to people's story, see what their issues are, and connect them to any service that would help them. And that's what case management is all about. Where are you? And how can we get you from where you are to where you need to be, which in our case is often safe and affordable housing. Well, we certainly hope that we could provide what's needed, especially with the case management services, so that we can lift people out of poverty and into safe and affordable housing. And a lot of what we see is if we can increase the education level, the connection to other services and churches or other support groups, so people are connected and not lonely. Often people are much more successful in that. So that connecting people so they're not on their own and they have wraparound services is really important. So we've seen a lot of success with that. And I think if we can continue to help kind of the whole person, physical, spiritual, mental health issues, I think that would definitely help people move onward.
So, and I think that's the after too. Every time we finish out a season and we can't fund everyone, or we don't fund everyone to full requests because we only have an X number of dollars each year that we can disperse out. We will sit in these meetings and say, well, you know what, let's get in touch with them afterwards. Maybe we can go talk to them and see, what else is going on or what else we can do. either as individuals or we know other resources. So try this over there.